What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? All right, it's your boy Coach D Brown again. All right, double duty today. All right, so we staying in the South. All right, but we just taking it over a little bit. I went from Big 12 and Conference USA and all that. Now we going over there to SEC. Well, I call it SEC, but it's not really. We're gonna learn about the conference that my man is coaching in right now, man. But I heard a lot about the school and. I know one of the coaches who used to be there. That's the first time I ever heard of Stillman. It was a few years ago, and but I've from dealing with him, I kind of know a little bit about this, about the school we're about to learn about today. So, but right now they got a veteran head coach came there. All right, has taken over the program, and I think a couple years he's gonna let me know exactly. I did a little bit of research. I usually don't, but I did a little bit of research on this one today. All right, so without further ado, I got Coach Terrance Whittle on with me today, head coach at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. All right, so Coach Whittle, man, what's going on, man? How you doing, family?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you having me on, Doc.
All right, yeah, we just keeping this ball rolling, man, with a bunch of my we're gonna learn about all these schools and come on, man. And I appreciate you taking out the time, Coach, man. And I have all my guests when they come on. I love to learn about the man behind the program. All right. So without further ado, man, let's learn about Coach Whittle. I know you've been grinding away for a minute, man. So let's go back to where you from, playing career, to the start of your coaching career to where you are now as head coach at Stillman.
Super stuff, man. I appreciate you having me on, Coach. And I'm originally from Petersburg, Virginia. Born in Petersburg, raised in Petersburg. Went to school in Petersburg, high school that is, and also my undergrad in college. Virginia State is where I went to school. Okay. I also went to junior college, played football and baseball.
Nice.
At Chowan. Chowan is now a 4-year school. So grew up there, but also called Alabama home. Alabama and Tennessee home. Both my parents are from Alabama, just 30 minutes south of Montgomery, and spent some time living and growing up in my early formative years in Nashville, Tennessee. So Tennessee and Alabama are home to me, and when I had the opportunity to coach in Alabama, it was a no-brainer for me. So went to, obviously, as I said before, went to Virginia State and played at Virginia State. And obviously, man, like everybody else, you have aspirations on moving forward beyond college baseball. But it didn't happen for me due to an injury here. And I was very, very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. When I left Virginia State, that I was kind of gifted and allowed to move into coaching really, really early. I was a head coach and named the head coach in 1994. It was 2 months after I graduated from college.
Wow.
And so it was obvious to me, it was a huge blessing. Not knowing a whole lot, kind of being really, really green in coaching, didn't no experience, but, the AD and president and my former coach, who's now a personnel scout with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was actually a receivers coach on the football team, who was coaching our baseball team. And he went on to the NFL and got a job with the Jets. And before he left, by God's grace, he recommended me to be the head coach. And so I did that for about 5 years at Virginia State, and also went to scout school while I was there at Virginia State in the Braves organization. And out of that, sometimes, man, God moves in mysterious ways. And out of that situation came an opportunity to go overseas. And so I managed 2 clubs in Europe.
Nice.
Germany and Austria. And then, kind of came back to the States and was really involved in a committed relationship. And my son was about to be born. I already had a daughter. And so my son was about to be born. I kind of wanted to get back home and was hired by Elizabeth City State in the CIAA at the time. And I spent the next 16 and a half years at Elizabeth City State, and we were able to kind of build that program and move that program forward. And during that time, I also became involved with MLBI, Major League Baseball International. And so kind of worked with them and went to Germany and South Africa a number of times, Nigeria, served as the advisor to the Nigerian national team, and worked with the South African national team. And actually, I was really afforded a great opportunity while I was at Elizabeth City State to help select South Africa's first World Baseball Classic team. And so that was huge, you know, and obviously, of course, when they played the U.S., it was really, really a fun game to watch in the World Baseball Classic. So I've had some really, really good experiences with baseball. It's taken me all over the world. And then obviously Elizabeth City State kind of shut their program down in 2014. And so it kind of hung around there for the next few years and athletic administration. And then obviously they went into a different direction and was in Charlotte for a while, working with a post-grad program, Prolific Academy in Prolific Post-Grad Academy in Charlotte, and coaching high school, which was a huge, huge joy to me as well. You know, getting back to really where basic baseball is really played on the high school level and working with those kids. And then I got a call, you know, from the AD here at Stillman College, you know, to come up and do some great things here at Stillman. So I've been enjoying my time coaching, man. I can't think of anything greater than kind of mentoring young men and kind of building champions, not just on the field, but academically as well.
I mean, good deal, man. You've been all over the place. And with titles and MLB, you know, stuff, words and all the things I ain't never heard of before. So that's what's up. You know, that's what's up, man. So congrats, man. And you know, long story career and getting a whole head coaching gig fresh out of college, man. That's impressive, man. That's very impressive.
It was actually scary, man. You know, I was 20. I just turned 23. You know, and didn't know a whole lot. And so one thing that helped me was being able to surround myself with, you know, coaches that had been in the game a long time. You know, my assistant coach at Virginia State was a 30-year coaching veteran, you know, and so he really, really taught me a lot, you know, just about, you know, dealing with players and organization and working with players and obviously looking at players and evaluating players. So I learned a lot from him. And of course, he and I are huge friends today. So that really helped me. Even kind of jumping on the coattail of the basketball coaches who have been in coaching and football coaches, you know, so being young and inexperienced, you know, for me, I thought it was important to surround myself with coaches that obviously knew a lot more than I did and had a lot more experience and could help me grow as a coach.
All right. Let me give a little shout out to the people listening. Shout out to David. Says he enjoys listening to the podcast. I appreciate you, David. Continue to do so. Jarrell Calhoun says, Coach Whittle, great guy. Signed 2 of my high schoolers from Montgomery, Alabama. All right, great man. All right, shout out to Sharif. All right, Virginia State alum, Jansen and Don. What up, baby? And D-Rob, Cali, what's good? All right, let me make sure I hit up everybody. I know I'm missing a few over here. Too many different pages. But anyway, all right. So Stillman College. All right, let's go with. All right, right. Tell me a little bit about Stillman. All right, location. I don't know if you said location. I know I've said it.
But we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You know, Stillman was obviously HBCU, and Stillman was formerly a member of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association Conference. I'm sorry, the SIAC. And so a period back, you know, Stillman kind of revamped their athletics program and went through a period of transition. And so the institution went independent as far as athletics was concerned. So when I first came here in the fall of 2017, we played as an independent with aspiration to move forward and join the NAIA Division I. So we're currently members of the Southern States Athletic Conference. And so that encompasses schools in Georgia, obviously here in Alabama, We have schools in Louisiana, in New Orleans, actually, and then down in southern tips of Alabama. So we really played a really competitive, one of the top 2 or 3 NAIA leagues in the country. And so we're kind of making some strides here. We're changing the culture of baseball here slowly but surely, making some strides, getting better players in, obviously, good academic kids to help us build our foundation in terms of the kind of young men we want in our program, not just great baseball players and athletes, but we also want guys that are going to be able to get out in the world after their baseball careers are done and be productive citizens through their contribution in whatever field they choose to get into, whether it's pro baseball, and that's huge for us to have a young man to be able to move into pro baseball, whatever level it is, but more importantly for guys to kind of finish that degree, move forward, going to grad school, and obviously being productive citizens.
All right, cool, man. So Division I NAIA program. All right. That's, I didn't know that. So that's good. And man, so we I don't know, I learned a lot from the NAIA programs the coaches that I had on in the past, but it always kind of feels like with the NAIA programs, it's kind of like I always say Wild Wild West. That has such a negative, whatever, but
I've heard that lingo, man. When I was in Virginia, North Carolina, particularly when it came to football programs, that it was the Wild Wild West in terms of, just kind of lacks academic standards, and it's totally opposite. It's totally opposite. You've really got to be a sound student athlete, because we have some schools that are really, really known for their academic prowess. You got in our league, Falkland University, top competitive athletic program, but also good academics. Obviously, here at Stillman, we pride ourselves on producing, great STEM people, religion courses in our school, education. Then also other schools inside of our league are top schools academically. So NAIA produced some really, really good athletes. And on top of that, so that Wild Wild West mantra is kind of fading right now.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. I always hear that thing. I always hear it like that. So let me ask you that: is the NAIA program, that the conference that you're in, is it all HBCU schools, or it's not?
No, we're the only HBCU in our league.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. All right, so enrollment. How many kids are at the school, man?
So our enrollment, even though this year's numbers hadn't really come in officially, and so we're still kind of waiting on where we are enrollment wise. But historically, in the past, we've been around 700-800 students since I've been here.
Okay, so fairly small, college. I mean, so pretty much everybody kind of know each other. Small, tight unit. All right, how many different sport programs do they have at the college?
So we offer men and women's basketball. We offer track and cross country, men and women, and we offer baseball and softball.
All right. I know being down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, a lot of talent in Alabama, but you having ties in North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia. I know we talked about Coach Stubbs in the background. All right. Yeah. So, when you're recruiting these kids, like on your current roster right now, where the kids ranging from and where do you like to recruit, not just within Alabama?
Our roster is very diverse. And I've been asked that question when I was at Elizabeth City State in terms of, where do you like to recruit? I find players where I can find them. I've had success with players all over the country. As far as California, from far as Colorado, but here, our makeup, and we kind of put this in things that we put out to the public from a baseball program perspective. When we're reaching out to alums and reaching out to potential donors and sponsors of our program, exactly where are our student athletes coming from a baseball perspective. We're getting kids obviously from Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Rhode Island, we've had some kids from Rhode Island since I've been here. We got a kid from Michigan when I've been. He was actually one of the kids he's in the Royals organization now, who came out of Michigan. He was at a few schools here and there. We do have some kids from the DR.
Okay.
A Cuban kid that's in Miami right now, and we're currently looking at bringing in some kids in over the break who are from the Dominican Republic as well as Puerto Rico, but they are U.S. citizens and kind of homesteading in Florida. So we have a really diverse roster of our players.
Wow, that's impressive. So what is it? Is it with your international travelings and stuff like that? Did you get those connections to the Puerto Rican and the DRs and stuff like that, or is it just kind of like this in passing, like how we doing, just connecting through it?
Yeah, not necessarily. I haven't been to the DR. Haven't been to Puerto Rico, but obviously in recruiting, you kind of run across people with coaches that do have international connections, and so for me, that's been really, really helpful. That when you're meeting coaches that are knee deep in the international students, may have students at a junior college, and they're continuing to look further their studies, and so for me, that's been very, very helpful. That we've been able to make those connections and keep those relationships moving forward with other coaches that are bringing international kids to the States for education.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool, man. So you one of the few schools. I ain't gonna say a few. It's a lot of schools that say, "Hey, we'll take international kids," but don't really have the proof in the pudding. You obviously have the proof in the pudding. All right. So on your current roster right now, all right. The diversity. It sounds like it's a very diverse roster. What is the percentage between Black, white, Spanish, what?
So when you hear me talk about diversity, that's exactly what it is. In terms of the international kids from Latin American countries. So we'll have a total of, I think, maybe 3 or 4 once our second semester comes. Maybe 4 international kids once second semester comes, and obviously we have right now on our roster 5 or 6 Caucasian kids on the roster, and then the rest are made up of course, African American kids.
All right, so yeah, pretty diverse, man. So when the kids come to Tuscaloosa to Stillman College, what type of atmosphere is it, especially for the international kids and not just the HBCU kid and the Black kids there, being a small school in Tuscaloosa in there? How's how the facilities? How's the campus life there?
Yeah, so obviously Tuscaloosa, being a town of maybe 100,000 people, not really huge city.
Mm-hmm.
The influx is really dependent upon the industry here. So it's a college town. Obviously, we're 5 minutes down the road from UA, so that also has its advantages, for us to be able to create relationships for our students academically. But obviously, the atmosphere in the town is advantageous for students who are not looking for something too big and not too small, but where they can kind of fit in the city as well, not just our campus. A really small, intimate campus. About 3 or 4 dormitories that house both male and female students. So the makeup of what our campus looks like is really advantageous for students to really succeed, in terms of socially, academically, emotionally. And then also what's also important is that they have issues to allow them to move beyond the campus when it comes to creating opportunities for them athletically. Especially for our seniors who are looking to graduate and move on to grad school and other industry. Tuscaloosa is kind of surrounded by major cities, Montgomery, Birmingham, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Memphis. So all these schools and all these cities are within maybe 4 hours drive of Tuscaloosa. So it creates opportunities for these kids economically when they're looking for other places to go, possibly to live and go to graduate school beyond college. Facility-wise, we have a great field on campus, really, really nice park. It's still a work in progress. We're continuously doing upgrades to our facility, kind of make it give our students the best experience possible from a playing standpoint of view. We have a lot of work to do with our training facilities. And so we're always constantly moving and trying to create something better than when we found it when we came.
Speaking of that, sounds like, obviously with the upgrades, being a small school, NIL program, even though you guys obviously have a diverse and a winning program, how tough is it to raise those capitals, to raise that money, to upgrade and do that type, stuff where you go to these other places and I would love to have my field looking like this and have this and that. Do the kids, kind of get, like that? I know most kids just want to play some ball, but
I think all kids have that allure about things that they've seen and maybe where they've been through before in high school or in junior college. And so what we try to do is kind of focus on what we currently have, and kind of make what we currently have not just good for our students while we're here, but make it good for the next group of guys that are going to come behind them. And so when you talk about, is it tough to raise those capital and raise those funds? Yes, it is, because fundraising is not easy to do because you really got to have a good product to sell. And so we're trying to build a good product to sell. So we're still in the work in progress in terms of creating revenue and income that's going to help us improve those training facilities that we currently have on our campus. And so, and the best product that we have to help generate funds is our players. What are our players doing on the field? What are they doing in the community? Whether they understand it or not, they are the best product that the institution has, because we're going out almost 2 or 3 times a week where people can see the school, they see Stillman College, they see our players. So our players become huge ambassadors for the college, and therefore make it more amenable for others to want to contribute and support them in their efforts. So we try to find creative ways to raise those funds, whether it's kind of, participating in work for pay fundraising programs, or if it's, what we're going to do this coming fall, kind of sending out disbursements and cards and letters to potential donors, working with what you already have on campus, your other stakeholders, your development people that also in charge of raising funds. So we're in the process of doing that as well. We're going to enter into a conducive capital campaign with our athletic department as well. And then also other issues. Obviously, this September or October, we were slated to have a golf tournament for our baseball program. However, COVID-19 has thrown a curveball in those efforts. And so to substitute for that, we're right now looking at a virtual golf tournament to help our program out, where other people can play golf in their own communities and neighborhoods with the intention of supporting Stillman College through donations through a virtual golf tournament. And so we're talking right now with our, persons that are going to be running that golf tournament for us, tournament director, to kind of move things forward for that. So you got to be really creative at an HBCU just because of who you are, where you are, and your mission is different from the larger colleges. The people that Alabama tap into, obviously we can't tap into. So we got to be really creative and different in terms of how we go about moving our programs forward, and the people that support us, because the same folks that probably support other larger schools, they don't support the more smaller, intimate schools. And so we're looking for folks like that who have a vested interest and a love for what small schools, particularly HBCUs, are doing.
Man, I love it, man. Oh, you put me on and stuff. Virtual golf, man. I like it, man. I love it. All right. Russ says, Coach, why did you leave Elizabeth City? Do they still have a baseball program?
Well, they don't. To answer that latter part of your question, the institution suspended baseball in 2014. And so the program was to be suspended for 3 years and then kind of reinstated in 2017. But obviously, a year prior, in 16, they decided that they were not going to move forward with those and kind of go in a different direction. And so obviously, we tell people all the time about how baseball is a business, athletics is a business. And so I was fortunately a casualty of the business of athletics at that particular school. So they kind of moved on from where we were at that time. But obviously, I tell people all the time that Virginia State is where I was born, but I was raised at Elizabeth City State. So I will always have an affinity for both of those institutions. But obviously, no, they're not playing anymore.
All right. Russ also asked, Coach, what were the results from meeting you had on Capitol Hill regarding blacks in baseball?
So I'm assuming he's speaking in reference to the symposium that was, I think, 2010 or 2012, okay. That Congressman Bobby Scott hosted. And so a lot of the information that came out of that symposium was centered around creating opportunities for young people in baseball, creating opportunities for young black kids to have more options for college. And so that was a crust of that symposium about how do we create more opportunities and more access for young black boys in baseball, not just in your local communities, but also on the college level. So I think those were some of the end results that we were attempting to achieve in terms of creating access and opportunities for blacks in baseball. And then also to move discussions forward for coaches beyond high school. The lack of black coaches at the college level, particularly at the highest levels of college baseball. And then also the lack of black coaches at the professional level, in the managerial side or the GM side, or whether it's the farm director side. So all those things were aspects coming out of that symposium that was conducted on Capitol Hill.
All right, good deal. That was sure. I know that had to be, a great opportunity. But let me see. Josh says, do you recruit more from travel ball or high school?
Both. I mean, I'm not partial to either one. You're going to get, depending upon where your recruiting base is for high schools, and sometimes you can find a lot of gyms in high schools whose programs aren't very talent heavy. And so I found a lot of kids from the high school perspective where there are a lot of high schools and they don't have a lot of feeder programs. And so when high schools don't have feeder programs, you're not going to get a whole lot of talent at particular high schools, particularly in the inner city. Of course, I've had some success from inner city Chicago and DC, New York, Harlem especially, Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina. And then you also have those programs where they're not rich in talent, but they're going to have, a handful of kids who are very, very raw, but athletic. And so those are the kids that sometimes become some of your best players and best students because they can be coached and they want to be coached. High schools are huge, has been huge for programs that I've been in, as well as travel ball. You're going to find a different kind of player in travel ball in terms of his skill set, because many of the coaches, they have a different mentality and they want to win every week, every weekend, so they're recruiting like colleges are, they're finding a player here and there, they're flying guys in and butt guys in, and travel ball is pretty good, but when you get into those situations, you really got to know where you are, what you want, and the kind of player you want in your program.
Okay. All right. Coach Stubb said one of the best T-Wit. All right. We got
I'm learning from him.
You said what?
I'm learning from him.
All right. Mike, I was so Harlem, Australia, representing New York. We have Mike in Cali says, how involved is alumni and former players with baseball team?
How what now?
How involved is alumni and former players with the program?
Your alumni is critical. And why I say that is because they also, not just from a financial support standpoint, and they're not going to support you financially if they don't feel like you have a vision or they don't feel like you have a plan for where you want to go, because you have to keep in mind that they have played in your program too, probably before you came there as the coach. So they have a vested interest, not just in the program, but in the school. And so as a coach, you have to keep in mind the importance of what the alumni mean for the institution. Secondly, the alumni can be a recruiting tool for you. There may be places where you can't go, particularly at HBCU'S, just because of the lack of a coaching staff. Ideally, if it may just be the head coach and one guy, and that's it, or just maybe the head coach, period, with no paid assistants, maybe a volunteer that has another job that really can't move and shake like you would like. And so it's great to have alumni connections. Since I've come here, I've kind of built a alumni core group connection with Memphis, with Tampa, with Atlanta, Mobile, and Montgomery, and other places where Stillman alums, baseball Stillman alums are present. And so just because they have a love for the institution, they know the high schools in the area. Some of them may even coach at the local high schools in the area, and the first school they're going to call is their school. If they have a great relationship with their school, they love their school, they love the program, they're going to call their school first. And so alums are a huge resource, because you can't see everybody everywhere. And so I think it's important that you maintain those relationships just for the vitality of your program.
It's funny you say that, because I was on the phone today with a scout friend of mine. We talked a long time, and we were bringing up certain coaches and stuff and how they don't rely on their alums. You know what I'm saying? And alums that know the game and play the game. And he was just like, man, it sucks, and I don't understand how you don't use those resources. And I understand that if a regular just alum who don't necessarily have played baseball, don't know, it's just an alum sending you wanting kids. But if they have a background in ball, in baseball, you would think you would want that extra help, like you said, right?
Sure.
All right. So let me see. Good question right here. All right. Aaron says, what are your thoughts on the HBCU tournament similar to the Andre Dawson Classic to shine more light on HBCU programs? However, this is only for HBCUs.
I think that's a great idea. Those things have been talked about and diced around for as long as I can remember, coaching in HBCUs. You have a few of those going on right now, not particularly organized by HBCUs, but they include HBCUs. Urban League Classic obviously is one of the probably the most notable one, because you have Southern and Alcorn State and Jackson State, and those teams participate in the Urban League Classics, but they aren't specifically targeted inclusively just for HBCU. You have a few other schools in those who are non-HBCUs, but when it comes to having just a strictly HBCU national tournament, those ideas have been thrown around for a long time. I've had conversations with other coaches in our circles about, how can we go about establishing HBCU tournaments, whether it's a inclusive tournament of Division I, Division II, and independents, and together, or we separate it and do a strictly Division I HBCU tournament and D2 HBCU tournament, or you pull the conference runners-up from those respective conference tournaments and have a strictly HBCU tournament, because the conference tournament champions go into the NCAA playoffs.
Right.
So you pull the conference runners-up out of those tournaments and you put on a HBCU national tournament. So I think it's a huge, it'll be a huge recruiting boost, not just for your programs, but for the schools in general. So I love the idea, and I'm just waiting to see when the day that it's going to come to fruition. Hopefully I'll be a part of that.
Yeah, I had how would like somebody like, you guys, right? You not being in essentially a HBCU conference, right? It would it just be like a automatic type of, but the second part you talked about with like the runner-ups and the other people having like a full HBCU for all the, just invite everybody that is
I think it would be a kind of like a known invite. It's automatically, it's automatically known, that the conference tournament runner-up will be invited to maybe Atlanta, or they're going to be invited to Memphis, or they'll be invited to Daytona Beach, or they'll be invited to Birmingham, and their sponsors in place, or the fiduciary sponsor in place. Their only requirement is that they provide their own transportation. They can get there, they're invited. Hotels may be taken care of, or we have some sponsor that could assist with hotel stays, a certain number of rooms for each team. It may can't pay for all the rooms for every team, but give each team 10 rooms.
Right.
And so I think that concept would be beneficial. Obviously, the issue of cost would come into effect for the schools. What would they have to pay? So that's always going to be a top level issue in terms of cost. How will we get there and so forth? And then you got to contend with, graduations. So the logistics got to be worked out around that particular event.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I mean, I'll talk to you behind the scenes about some stuff that I have been working on. I am working on.
Sure.
But let's get these questions in here. My boy Bubba, that was Coach's email that was in there. Coach, I hope you don't mind. I like to have my coach's information out there for any parent out there that got a kid that's interested in Stillman to send video and stuff. So I'll put that email up again and later on. Bubba in Alabama says, Coach Whittle, my son TJ had the privilege of being coached by your assistant David at the ALABCA All-Star event at Troy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Super stuff. Super event.
All right. Russ says, do you have prospect camps? If so, when?
So we didn't have anything in any camps this summer at all. Obviously, my assistant is huge, on trying to do that. I think he had one last summer for some kids here on our campus, but obviously we weren't able to kind of do those things this year because of COVID-19. So when we're able to, you either hear from me or from him about when those things are going to be held on our campus.
What's the fall schedule for you guys right now?
So we're not allowed to participate due to COVID-19 against outside competition, and that's an institutional policy. It's not a conference policy or an NAIA policy, but just because of what's been going on with COVID to minimize the spread of the coronavirus, our school has put just an institutional athletic policy in place that we won't compete against any outside competition this fall. However, we are practicing we opened up September 1 with our first official practice. We had guys who've been kind of doing things on their own since school has arrived. But we'll start officially September 1. We'll probably go through the end of October, early November. Ours will consist of obviously, practice and workouts and skill development. And of course, we're in a squad, a couple times a week, kind of stay fresh, keep our arms fresh, keep our bats fresh, and kind of make evaluations along the way as we're going out through the course of the fall.
All right. Let me get this here. We have what type of pitchers are you looking for? The makeup, Josh asks.
Well, if guys can throw strikes, they can pitch for us. That's just pretty much that simple. If they can throw strikes and command the zone, they can pitch for us. It's just a matter of how well, how early, how often, and how consistent they are. We're looking for guys that can do that. If you can command the zone and throw strikes and be consistent, and get guys out, you can pitch for us.
Let me ask you this: are you still recruiting 2021s at this recruitment? At this particular time,
we are. Well, we are still kind of looking for guys we can bring in mid-year. Whether it's a high school guy but particularly the focus is always on pitchers. We can't never have enough of those, and so we are looking for some guys we can possibly bring in at the break, but also fall 21.
All right. I heard pitchers, and I know you looking for, but you kind of broke up in the middle. Anything else you were looking at?
Yeah, no doubt. So obviously, man, we love guys, some corner guys, some outfield guys, particularly the center field, guys that can square it up, hit for average, hit for power, and speed guys. We place a heavy burden on guys that can run and have good instincts on the base pass and good instincts in the outfield, good jumps on the ball, good middle infielders, that are quick and solid, reliable guys that have good instincts, So we're still looking for some position guys, primarily, maybe one or two outfields we can bring in, a corner guy, first or third guy that can possibly do interchangeable at those two corner spots. But they've got to be able to hit. I tell people all the time, if you can hit, you can play for me. Make no mistake about it. You can hit, you can play for me.
I know that's right. So let me ask you this. So from a recruiting standpoint, the still looking right now, if I was to have a showcase camp up there in Memphis area, would you be able to at least I'll stream it to you or make your way, and one of the coaches make their way up there?
We will do our very best to get to Memphis. And obviously Memphis is really on my radar. We actually lost a kid earlier this summer, and a lot of it has to do with COVID-19 that came here to visit with us in February, but obviously kind of went to a different direction, and that's cool. But I've been wanting to get into the Memphis area for a long time. We have connections in Memphis. A lot of our alumni base is in Memphis. And so we'll do our very best to get to Memphis. If not, we have some baseball-minded guys that I trust their evaluations and their input that can possibly come.
Okay. I'll let you know what's going on. All right. What's closer to you, Atlanta or Memphis?
Memphis is closer than Orlando.
No, I meant Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. Atlanta's closest.
Atlanta's closer than Memphis?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is your roster made up of mostly high school or JUCO transfers?
We have a combination of both. We have in the program now, we brought in two transfers this fall, and we'll have a couple of transfers in mid-year. But on our roster over the past year or two, we have about five or six transfers in our program that transferred in between 2018 and this fall. So we do have a number, and the rest of those kids are high school kids. And I do believe in making sure that, your high school numbers somewhat outweigh the JUCO numbers, just because of the longevity in your program, graduation rates. All those things kind of matter, even though we don't hear a lot about graduation rates in NAIA. It's more so in the NCAA, where they're tracking graduation rates. Now, I could be wrong with that, but since I've been in there, I haven't heard a whole lot of fuss about graduation rates. But for our school's purposes, we really want to try to keep a really good number of high school guys in the program, because it solidifies, bringing guys in over the course of 4 years and getting them out. And I think we love junior college guys because, they come in ready. They come in with experience. They come in with some baseball acumen and baseball IQ. And so I just love to have those guys around, because they're able to push the younger kids to be a little bit better and kind of speed up.
Okay. Mike says, is competition / skill level among HBCUs pretty consistent across conferences?
In our conference, yes. In our conference, yes. We have a really high skill level in SSAC. If you follow NAIA baseball and you follow regional rankings or national rankings, you're going to see 3 or 4 schools out of our conference ranked in top 20, top 25. Faulkner University, Martin Methodist, William Carey, University of Mobile. Competition-wise in our league is really competitive and high. And so your skill level has always got to match the competition. And so we're always trying to look for guys that especially pitchers, and that's one of the things that my assistant David talks about a lot. Can this pitcher beat so-and-so? So when you're looking at guys, can he compete with Faulkner? Can he compete with UMO? Can he compete with Loyola? Those kind of things, and so that's how we want to kind of project kids. You may not get that every time, but if you don't get that, you kind of work with that and kind of, teach them how to pitch and what you want out of them. And obviously that's when you also got to have guys that can play, guys that can pick a ground ball up and throw them out, or track a ground ball or track a fly ball in the outfield, take a good route in the outfield, kind of cut down the extra base. So you really got to have guys with good skill level, that can also help you win.
All right. What is the cost to go to your school?
So Stillman's overall tuition is $19,700.
In and out of state is the same?
We're private schools. There's no out of state tuition. Everybody pays the same at Stillman.
All right, so 19,000. Okay. Now I know you guys probably obviously are not fully funded. Do you have a good amount of scholarship money available?
Well, no. I don't think a lot of programs are underfunded.
Right.
So we're always kind of looking to see how we can, address those issues. I think our administration does a good job of addressing those issues when necessary and when the time allows for improving those issues. So across the board, as an athletic department, not just with baseball, but no, we're not. But we're always conscientious about how we allocate those funds we do have. We kind of spend them wisely, particularly on guys that we know are going to be top guys for us, and that's always our priority. Pitchers always our priority. So just because we're not underfunded, we got to be very careful and wise about how we go about allocating what resources we do have.
Now, what's the academic requirements again to go?
Obviously Stillman, 2.0 get in, SAT scores. But to be eligible to compete now, you got to have 18, 19 on the ACT, 960 on the SAT. But this year, COVID-19 has given some relief for the SAT scores for incoming freshmen, just because of what happened back in the spring when all this kind of jumped off and folks couldn't take, SATs and ACTs and get in test taking manner. So a lot of kids got relief this year from the NAIA about the ACT and ST requirement.
They got relief?
Well, in terms of, they couldn't take the test, so they couldn't report a test score. So they're compliance standards and their certification standards will be based on other factors that the NAIA has set in place. But as far as admission standards are concerned, 2.0 to get into our school, 2.5 is great. We know you can achieve the academic work. So even though there is a minimum GPA, there's always a higher minimum GPA they want you to have, because obviously that tells us you can do college work and you can maintain that rigorous of college life.
All right. That's good information there. Let me go here. We have, Coach, do you allow your pitchers to hit?
We have in the past, but not very many since I've been here. So there's not been very many of our pitchers in our program here that have hit. They will get an opportunity to demonstrate if they can handle that or if they can hit. But majority-wise, we haven't had a lot of guys who consider themselves as dual pitchers and position players to do that, but we don't rule it out. And I've always been that way across all of my programs that I've had a chance to work with. That if you're a pitcher and you have hit consistently in the past or historically in the other programs you've been in, we'll give you a shot. But you really got to show that, hey, you can do this, you can do it competitively at a high level, in terms of, as well as, be a pitcher at a high level, So we just can't sacrifice one for the other.
All right. I like that. All right. We have Aaron says, what are your thoughts on the HBCU tournament? Similar. I'm sorry. He had another one. I'm sorry. Let me get that one. Okay. This one here. Another challenge. Aaron must play ball for HBCU or have. Another challenge HBCU students face is being placed in summer leagues. Ever thought about HBCU summer league? Maybe stream games on YouTube.
That idea of an HBCU summer league has never crossed my mind. It's a good concept. I think if someone has the wherewithal and the acumen to put that together, I think it would be acceptable by kids from HBCUs. The challenge will be that you may not get the top players out of HBCUs, just because the other more attractive summer leagues, where there's a heavy presence of scouts, pro scouts at those summer league games. And those players of those HBCUs may be getting a lot of pro language, maybe getting a lot of pro exposure during the course of their seasons as underclassmen. And so when the time comes to play in summer leagues, the higher level kids who are on the watch list, they may expound to, the Frontier League, the Valley League, and those kinds of things, to kind of improve their stock for pro ball. But I think it's it's a good concept in my mind. If someone has wherewithal, number one, the organizational skills, number two, to put it together, number three, the financial backing of it. Where will you play? How will you play? I don't think recruiting kids will be a problem. Just a matter of what type of kids you want to put in that HBCU. Now, not all kids that play at HBCUs will have the necessary means to play summer ball, because we have a different culture of kid at HBCUs. Especially the smaller ones, once your season ends, they got to go to work. They got to put themselves through college. They're not on full or partial athletic scholarships, and so they're that piece. Even though they're good baseball players and they probably want to play and can play at that level of summer ball, so that's the other dynamic that you face a lot with students at HBCUs, who summertime comes, they gotta either, am I going to work this summer, or I'm going to play ball, or can I do both? So I think it's a huge, great concept, and I would love to see if it can come to fruition.
All right. I'm gonna get these last couple questions. I hate to do this to you, Coach, man, but today I've been running around.
That's
We're gonna
okay,
get our
bro.
full hour in, but I want to get these questions in because I had to run and I'm meeting one of the kids from the show here and evaluating him and I just with Atlanta traffic. I just wanted to kind of put that in there for the parents more so with the questions being asked. But we're gonna get our full hour in. We got but Jansen says it seems to me that kids should take the SAT when they're a junior and then again senior year. Thoughts?
Well, it's always great to take the SAT more than once, because you have an opportunity to kind of get recentering. What the NCAA does is it takes the higher of the two verbal or math scores and combine them. So if you're taking the SAT more than once, I'm a fan of that. I've seen plenty of times where kids wait late to take it,
Right.
and
Right.
they don't have enough time to take it again, and so they don't
Right.
qualify.
Right. Right.
So you should take the SAT multiple times, just because they do allow for recentering, and they'll take that highest math score and that highest verbal score to combine, to get you to that minimum requirement in addition to the writing portion of the test. So I think it's great to do that.
Listen, I'll piggyback on what Coach just said, and I can't remember what one of the coaches that was on there. He said to take it, start your freshman year, start taking it. I may not just say that, but what I will say, my personal opinion, just based off of behind the scenes and the amount of parents and stuff that I talk to that are seniors now that are, obviously we can't control COVID, all right, but even before COVID hit, all right, guys are waiting till your senior year. But if you seriously want a scholarship, my suggestion for the parents listening in, again, Coach, what I'm saying, he's been doing this a lot longer than I have, okay? But, as far as recruiting and test scores and stuff like that. But to me personally, I would have at least 1 to 2 knocked down by your sophomore year. It's not like it's a pass and fail, and it's like, because you're taking it 1 or 2 times and, you can't take it again here. And I know it's money and cost involved, but get 1 or 2 out the way by the end of your sophomore year. You know what I'm saying? So you have those numbers there for you. Because if you high level and you feel like you're good enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, they gonna start, coaching gonna start recruiting you at worst by your junior year. You know what I'm saying? So the way this baseball world is now, if you feel like everybody on here want their kid to get a scholarship, so start early. I always tell these parents this. I talk to behind the scenes, especially the ones that are seniors. I'm like, lessons money for batting and all that is one of those necessities right now. But I'm like, take some of that money and go get a SAT or ACT tutor and get them. That's what matters most anyway. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hitting is one, but if you got them scores behind you, they just they neck to neck basically. So by your sophomore year, you need to have taken it 1 or 2 times. Just chalk it up and do it for all you freshmen or sophomores that are incoming sophomores. Go rack up and do it. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's my little rant. But I be getting mad. I'm like, you coach. I be getting mad when I be they waiting to see. And I get it. I understand COVID hit this year, but it be before COVID last year. Seniors, he took it, he got this, and we're gonna wait to take it in the fall and all of that. But the recruiting is going on. You know what I mean? Like, you want to get that stuff done. This is 20-some years ago. By the time my junior year was finished, I took it 2 or 3 times. I was chilling. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to ace it. I just like, no one I qualified. That's all it took for me. I was chilling. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm going my rant. I feel the gear is a huge recruiting tactic. How do you feel about it?
When you say gear, meaning?
Yeah, I guess you mean like Under Armours or just uniforms, I guess, right? What would you think?
Well, I mean, it can be enticing to a kid, especially for kids that are coming from programs where their high school programs are, sorely underfunded or don't have a lot of resources. And, they'll get a lot of these apparel, those kind of things. And I don't know if that is the tell all the end all in terms of recruiting. But it has its advantages and disadvantages. But I don't know if that's going to be the tail of the end all in recruiting. I think there are a lot more things that will be paramount than the equipment or the gear that will impact kids' recruiting decision.
All right. It's funny, like, it was in the big picture, we like, what's gear? But then I remember how I was when I was a youngster. Those little things like that you would think wouldn't matter, but to a 17-year-old, hey, I like the uniform. It's just craziness. But all right, this is gonna be the last question. All right, I gotta get my coach out of here, man, and I appreciate him. I'll make sure I got any other ones I might have missed on the other. But Coach Bubba says, Coach, will you be at the showcase in Birmingham in October?
Well, if that's the Piper Davis, yeah, I'll be at Piper Davis if that's the one he's referring to. I don't know of any other one in October other than maybe at Birmingham Southern or something, or UAB. But if it's Piper Davis, if they're having a showcase area, of course, I support Piper Davis quite often. But if I'm wherever, yes, we'll be there.
All right, well, there you got it. All right. So, again, listen, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man, and hanging in there, being a little patient with me, man.
Sure.
I will be in contact. I'm gonna, talk to you about some of the showcases I have coming up this fall, and I would love for you to, at worst case, be on the streaming link. All right, and hopefully I can get you in attendance to one of these, and or at least one of your staff members. I definitely want to talk to you behind the scenes. I think I got couple of guys that could maybe help you in your program out. I want to talk to you about. And then, so Coach, what I usually do, I love to have my coaches, whoever my guests on, man, take us out with a great message, man. You've been spending that knowledge all day, man. But if you could, can you send us out, man, with a great message, man?
Yeah, I just want to kind of talk a little bit to the student athletes that may be listening. So I think this is a huge opportunity for you and for your families to do something that's going to change the course and direction and the trajectory of your life. Making a decision to attend college is huge. It's not a decision about, trying to get rich. Some of us do. Some go on to do some amazing things financially, but it changes your trajectory in ways that you probably ever could have imagined. I never knew that I would be a kid from Petersburg, Virginia, with roots in Alabama and Tennessee to go to South Africa, or go to Nigeria, or go to Germany. And so that's what I mean by it's going to change your outlook on life. When I was flying to South Africa, I looked out the window, and before we landed in Johannesburg, I said, I can't believe that I'm in South Africa and I'm coaching baseball. So I had a hell of an education through baseball, met a lot of people, and that did a lot for me. So take this opportunity seriously with conviction, and also thank your parents in the end, because they sacrificed a lot for you, and obviously the coaches that have had a chance to influence you. A lot of these people have laid some foundations for you. So I wish you the best of luck, but also make sure you're doing the right thing, the right time, all the time.
And there you go. All right. It's a great message, man. It's a great game, man. And I just, again, I'm a piggyback off of Coach. I shouldn't, I just feel like once you, like he said, he played at a college level. He gained that knowledge. Now he becomes an expert. He's able to take them expert skills that, he can take that literally all over the world, and has made a great career of himself from that baseball expertise that he gained and playing in college. I believe that, me personally, there's a lot of great high school coaches out there that's never really played in college, but I believe, with this type of opportunities that, once you step foot on a college campus and play baseball at least for a year or so, I believe you'd be considered a higher level baseball player, and everybody get a chance to play in college baseball and definitely not coach it.
Yeah.
But, essentially with that skill level, once you step that foot on that baseball, you essentially can, go a long way coaching and teaching, the great game of baseball. Once I consider you an expert. Who am I, right? But I consider you an expert, on that level. Once you play in that college.
You're an expert in your own right, man. You got a lot to offer kids, and I appreciate that.
All right, so here you go. All right, Coach, man, I appreciate you. Great meeting you, man. And we're going to be behind the scenes I'm talking a little bit, man, and I'll fill you in on everything. Parents, all right, have a great, safe weekend. Monday, we'll be back at. We got a pack-filled week next week from I know we got Siena. We have HBCU schools. I think we're going to have our first. Shout out to my boy, ex-teammate Tony Miranda. It's Cerritos Junior College. We're going to have our first junior college guest on next week. We're going to have a little bit of a roll of those coming in, hopefully, and we're going to keep this ball rolling. So, again, private message me, showcases, again, September 19th in Atlanta, September 26th, Jackson, Tennessee, outside of Memphis, October 10th, Orlando, and November 6th to 13th in Waco, Texas. I'll lock down hopefully this weekend. We kind of narrow down and get it more of I'll get it all down and what we got going on, all right, with some dates and location. But the one in Jackson, Tennessee is the one. Jackson, Tennessee is the one that's locked down, ready to go. So I have the link and everything up by next Monday. All right, ready to go for the signups. So, Coach, I appreciate your time, my brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. So Monday, parents, have a great weekend. See you guys Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Peace.